Hello and welcome to the Science for Sleepy. Tonight we begin a gentle unravelling through the folds of time as it slips, pauses and stretches across the planets. You're not required to follow it, just rest beside it. Out the window of thought the stars are steady. The planets drift in their quiet orbits like forgotten dreams on an old slow carousel. A golden haze covers the room. It is not night. It is not day. It is somewhere between, like the in-between places of space itself. If you're enjoying this quiet journey through curiosity and time, consider subscribing. There's always more to explore, gently. We'd love to know your location and time zone in the comments. Now, let us drift into a question. Is time the same on every planet? It sounds so simple. Yet in the depths of space, simple things become slippery. Imagine a clock floating in your hands. It ticks, it tocks, it repeats. But now, you lift it gently toward the sky, past clouds, past satellites, past moons. Does it still tick the same up there? Closer to Jupiter, does it beat faster, slower? Does time ripple near the edge of Saturn's rings? What does time mean on a world where the sun never rises or never sets? You're still, you're listening. You're not racing against time, you're floating through it. All around us the universe runs on different rhythms. Mercury dances slowly, while Jupiter spins in a blur. Light reaches one planet in minutes, another in hours. Some worlds spin backwards, others barely spin at all. Time, it turns out, is not a metronome. It is a breath, a stretch, a shrug of gravity and light. And so, we begin. A journey through the ticking hearts of other planets. Not to answer every question, but to feel the hush behind each one. We begin with Mercury, the quiet one, the closest to the sun, where the sky glows endlessly but moves almost not at all. Time here is strange. Not because of gravity, but because of motion, or the lack of it. Mercury rotates so slowly that one full day, one sunrise to the next, takes the length of 2 of its years, a whole orbit and then another. Imagine standing there on its rocky, silent crust. The sun creeps into view like a heavy golden eye, barely rising. It hovers low for what feels like forever, casting long shadows on cratered stone. It is bright, so close, so near, but it's not fast, and so you wait. You wait through hours, days, weeks. The sun arcs higher only in the way that glaciers shift, patient and near frozen. You could take 1,000 naps and still it would only inch across the sky. What does time feel like when the stars above you move quicker than the sun? When night, if it ever comes, is a promise so distant that you stop believing in it. But inside Mercury the iron heart spins. It spins fast even as the surface barely turns. It keeps the planet's magnetic field whispering against solar winds. There is motion, hidden, quiet. And you, standing still, perhaps lying down, might feel a tension in your thoughts. The ticking of your own internal time, pulsing in seconds, while the planet around you ignores your rhythm entirely. Time is not broken here. It's simply indifferent. You learn something important. That time is not about clocks. It is about context. And on Mercury, context is slow. Now we drift to Venus, shrouded in golden clouds, wrapped in a dense and restless veil. The surface is hidden, the sky thick, the light always dimmed through sulphur and ash. But beneath the haze, something quietly astonishing happens. Time, on Venus, turns backward. Not in the way of a ticking clock rewinding, not in the way of youth returning to the face, but in motion, in spin. Venus rotates in the opposite direction of most planets, a slow, stubborn spin that moves against the current. Its day is longer than its year, and from its thick surface the sun would appear to rise in the west and set in the east. backwards, it's not a place of fast changes. It is a place of pause, of pressure, of stillness wrapped in motion. Imagine standing there. You cannot see the sky. But if you could, if you watched long enough through years of thick yellow air, you would see the sun crawl backward across the heavens. It's not the kind of time you could wear on a wrist. It's the kind you feel only when everything else is stripped away, when silence and heat press in so tightly that you stop looking forward at all. We wonder, softly, does a backward spinning planet remember the future? Do its rocks know what hasn't yet happened? Do its clouds flow with memories still unfolding? Venus whispers, time is not a single arrow. It is a loop, a spiral, a breath held, then reversed. And so we sit beneath its invisible sky, not waiting for the sun to rise, but for it to pass backward through a sky we cannot see, toward a place we've already been. Now let us drift a little farther outward, where dust reddens the soil and soft winds stir the sand. Mars, the red world, the near neighbour. It is here, more than anywhere else, that time feels familiar. A Martian day, called a sol, is only a little longer than Earth's, just over 24 hours and 39 minutes. If you brought a clock from home, it would barely notice. And yet, something is different. The light is gentler. The air, thin and shy, doesn't hold sound the way Earth's does. And the days, though familiar in rhythm, stretch quietly into seasons that last twice as long. A year on Mars, a full dance around the sun, takes nearly twice the time. You could live through a dozen Martian springs and feel as if you were floating in one long breath. Imagine lying in a shallow crater. Above, the sky is rusted pink, and two moons, Phobos and Deimos, race across it like curious birds. They move fast, especially Phobos, darting from horizon to horizon in mere hours, and as you watch them, a strange thing happens in your chest. You feel time tug, not rush, not stop, but stretch. Because on Mars, change takes its time. Rivers once ran here, they no longer do. Winds shape the same dunes over centuries. The planet holds on to things, scars, rocks, echoes, far longer than Earth would ever allow. So you breathe slower, you think longer. You begin to notice the space between thoughts. Mars teaches us that time does not need to hurry, that it can match your pace, that it can wait until you're ready. And tonight, maybe you are. Now the red dust fades behind us, and we turn towards something immense. Jupiter, the storm-wrapped giant. A world so large, so heavy, that its gravity bends not just time, but thought. Its day is the shortest of all the planets. 10 hours, that's all. A full rotation in less than half an Earth day. And it doesn't turn lazily. It spins, fast and fierce, so quickly that its clouds can barely keep up. Bands of ammonia and water race around its belly, and the great red spot, that ancient storm, swirls like an old clock running down. Here, time is restless. Not because it hurries, but because the world beneath it never stops moving. There is no surface to land on, only layers of gas pressing deeper and deeper until the idea of solid ground disappears. Imagine drifting in Jupiter's upper atmosphere. You would see the sky whirl by. Sunlight would rise and fall like a flickering candle. Night would come before you could settle, and dawn would follow in the same breath. If you carried a watch, it would protest. Its hands would not keep up, because even time has trouble in a place like this. And Jupiter, in its massive weight, bends gravity so deeply that clocks tick slower nearby than they do far away. Time itself curves around it, stretching and softening. The deeper you fall into its pull, the more time begins to drift apart from you. It is not a place of peace, but of power. a reminder that time can be twisted, not just by speed, but by mass. And as we pull back, rising out of its fast, fierce breath, we carry with us the echo of a world that spins so quickly, you can barely say goodbye before it's tomorrow. Now we drift through the quiet dark past the thunder of Jupiter into a softer ringed hush. Saturn awaits, pale gold, crowned in ice. It rotates quickly, nearly as fast as Jupiter, but somehow it feels slower, quieter, as though the speed lives only on the surface, while the heart of the planet pulses like a slow drum in a hollow temple. Its day lasts just over 10.5 hours, yet around it, those rings, those impossible rings, billions of particles dancing endlessly, each one whispering a different version of time. If you were standing on one of Saturn's moons, say Enceladus, with its icy plumes, you could look up and see time made visible, rings spinning, shadows drifting, all of it circling the giant world like thoughts around a sleeping mind. Saturn's gravity is strong, but not as harsh as Jupiter's. Its time bending is subtle, like a sigh at the edge of a dream. Still, clocks would slow, gently, if they sat in its atmosphere. But what would a clock mean here? With no ground to place it on, no sunrise, no sunset, only layers of golden wind and that quiet ballet of dust and ice. Here, time is marked not by hours, but by the movement of rings, the drift of moons, the silence between storms. You float past the edge of Saturn and feel the difference. Time isn't gone, it's simply wider, a softer space to breathe. And in that space, you begin to let go of seconds. You begin to measure in motions, in shadows, in size. And now we tumble sideways into the strangest spin of all, Uranus, the tilted dreamer. Unlike the other planets, Uranus rolls on its side, its axis nearly horizontal, as if it were a giant marble tipped over mid-spin, turning like a coin slowly coming to rest. Its day lasts about 17 hours, but its seasons, they last decades. Because of that sideways tilt, one pole points to the sun for almost half its 84-year orbit. Decades of sunlight, followed by decades of dark. Imagine living where the sun doesn't rise and set each day, but instead hovers in the same part of the sky for 20 years, then disappears for 20 more. What does time feel like in a place like that, where the sky forgets to move, where shadow and light no longer follow a rhythm you can feel in your body? You might begin to sleep in new ways, longer, slower, following tides of brightness, not hours, letting your mind drift with the light. Even the clouds on Uranus, pale blue and slow, move as though time has thickened. Not stuck, just stretched. You wouldn't notice the wind unless you waited years. A breeze that forgets it's moving. And deep below the clouds, beneath the layers of ice and gas, time might feel different still. Pulled inward by pressure, curved by cold. You float beside this tilted giant and realize time here does not spin. It rolls, end over end, in long, quiet arcs. And suddenly you feel it in yourself, the urge to tip, to rest sideways, to let go of the idea that time must stand up straight. Past Uranus, we drift deeper, farther still from warmth, into a realm of long blue shadows and wind-whipped ice. Neptune, the final giant, the far edge of our solar breath. Its colour is oceanic, but its soul is sky. Winds faster than sound tear through its upper layers, yet the planet itself spins gently. A day of just over 16 hours. Here, time wears a distant mask. Not because of its speed, but because of its silence. Light from the sun takes 4 hours to reach this place, and when it does, it arrives weak and pale, a memory of warmth. Imagine standing on a moon of Neptune like Triton, where geysers of nitrogen spray from a frozen surface and the planet hangs enormous in a dim, frozen sky. The stars here barely shimmer, they simply watch, and you, watching back, feel something strange stir in your chest. Time feels farther away, because here, distance becomes duration. It takes longer to move, longer to hear, longer to think, not because you are slower, but because everything else is. Seasons stretch across decades, orbits wind wide and slow. A year on Neptune, 165 Earth years. One turn around the sun takes longer than a lifetime, and so Neptune teaches us. Time is not only what spins, it's also what waits. You float through the blue mist, past the dark whirls of wind, and understand. This isn't the end of time, it's the deep inhale before another beginning. We drift even farther now, beyond the giants, beyond the winds, to a place once called the 9th planet, Pluto, small, cold, almost forgotten. But time remembers Pluto, and Pluto remembers time in its own slow way. It orbits on a tilted path far from the others, taking 248 Earth years to circle the sun just once. Entire civilizations could rise and fall, while Pluto completes a single loop. Its day lasts just over 6 Earth days. But what does a day mean on a world where the sky is always twilight? Where sunlight is so faint you could block it with a coin at arm's length? Imagine standing on Pluto. The horizon curves close because the world is small. The stars are steady, crisp and sharp against the black. Above you, its moon, Charon, doesn't rise or set. It hangs, locked in place, always watching. Pluto and Charon orbit each other like dancers holding hands, neither one ever turning their back. A binary rhythm, a duet of gravity. And in this, a lesson. Time can be mutual. Time can be shared. There is no rush here. Even light takes 5 hours to arrive. A message in a bottle, crossing a frozen sea. And yet, Pluto spins. Pluto moves. Pluto keeps time, not loudly, not quickly, but honestly. And so, we drift beside it, not to remember what it used to be, but to feel what it still is. A keeper of slow moments, a whisper in the calendar of the cosmos. Now let us turn away from planets and toward their quiet companions. Moons, so many moons, not just followers, but dancers in their own right, each moving to a rhythm carved by gravity and silence. We begin with Titan, Saturn's largest moon, larger than Mercury, wrapped in orange haze and methane rain. A day on Titan matches its orbit, locked in a synchronous spin. It shows Saturn the same face always, just as our moon does to Earth. Imagine standing on Titan's surface. Thick atmosphere filters sunlight into syrupy gold. You look up, and Saturn fills half the sky, immense, ringed, glowing, always there, never setting, because you never turn away. Your world moves, but not in circles you can feel. Time here is not yours. It belongs to Saturn. Now drift farther to Europa, one of Jupiter's icy moons. Beneath its frozen shell, an ocean pulses, perhaps warmed by tides of gravity. Does time flow differently under ice? Do waves move slower when no one watches? And then to Io, restless and volcanic, forever tortured by Jupiter's pull. Its surface changes daily, exploding, cracking, steaming. A fast world, but still, its time is not its own. It is pulled, shaped, stretched by the planet it orbits. Even Earth's moon, so familiar, so constant, teaches us this. Moons do not set their clocks. They borrow them, they follow tides, they mirror giants. And yet, each moon carries time in a different way, some slow, some violent, some hidden beneath silence. So we drift among them, these borrowed clocks in the sky, and wonder, if time can be shared, can it also be forgotten? Now we move deeper, not farther, but inward, into the force beneath all planets, beneath all motion, gravity. It is not just what holds you down, it is what bends time. Imagine placing two identical clocks, one on the ground and one at the top of a mountain. Let them tick, let them breathe, let them count. After a while, the mountain clock is slightly ahead, just slightly, but ahead. Why? Because gravity pulls on time. It slows it down. Not like molasses or mud, but like a hand resting gently on your shoulder, quieting your step. The stronger the gravity, the slower time flows. On Earth, the difference is tiny, a fraction of a second across lifetimes. But near a massive object, a planet, a star, a black hole, that difference becomes visible. On Jupiter, clocks tick slower than on Mars, not because the day is shorter, but because the weight is greater. Time curves. Imagine sinking into a deep canyon, lower and lower, feeling the pull increase. Your thoughts would be the same, your heart would beat the same, but to an outside observer, you are slower, not drowsy, just delayed. This is not imagination. This is measurement, proven, tested. And so we learn. Time does not move at one speed. It flows through valleys and peaks carried by gravity's hands. We drift gently across these invisible landscapes, from lowlands of slow time to high places where seconds lift their heads. And we wonder, if time is pulled by gravity, what else pulls on us quietly without us noticing? Let's return home for a moment, to Earth, to something familiar, and yet something quietly strange. Because even here, on the planet where you were born, time is not uniform. It shifts, ever so slightly, between sea level and mountaintop, between valley floor and high-rise rooftop. Imagine this. You lie in a hammock near the ocean. A clock sits beside you. Another clock, identical, rests on the summit of Everest. Both tick, both measure the same seconds, but after enough time has passed, the summit clock will be slightly ahead. Only by a sliver, only by a whisper, but ahead. Why? Because gravity is weaker up there. The Earth's pull is gentler, and so time flows a little faster. It's not something you would notice, not in a conversation, not in a dream. But with patient instruments, with still attention, you can measure it. This is called gravitational time dilation. The higher you go, the quicker the tick. Even GPS satellites orbiting above us must correct for this. Their clocks run faster than ours on Earth, and without adjustment our maps would drift. Feet would become miles, moments would become errors. So we live in a world where mountaintop moments and ocean floor seconds are not quite the same. Time stretches between altitude and gravity like soft elastic, like breath. And maybe now you feel it differently. Maybe now you sense that every step you take, uphill, downhill, is a step through subtly shifted time. The world is not still, and neither is time, even when we think it is. Now let us move not higher or lower, but faster. Because time does not only stretch with gravity, it bends with speed. You've felt it before, though you may not have noticed. A plane ride, a satellite's orbit, a high-speed loop around the Earth. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, the faster you move, the slower your time flows, at least compared to someone standing still. Imagine this. Two perfect twins. One stays on Earth. The other boards a spacecraft and begins circling the planet at thousands of miles per hour. When the traveller returns, something soft but strange has happened. They are slightly younger, by seconds, but younger. Because while they moved quickly, time moved slowly for them, It's not magic, it's motion. Speed stretches time like a string pulled tight, and that tension creates difference. Up in orbit, satellites race around us, and their clocks must be adjusted so they stay aligned with ours on the ground. Without these corrections, your phone's GPS would tell you that you are across the street or halfway across the city. Time must be precise, because time is part of space now, woven together. So speed is not just about movement, it is about time. The faster you go, the more time changes shape. Imagine riding light, skimming the edge of the speed limit of the universe. What would a second feel like when stretched near its breaking point? It is hard to say. But even now, on this slow, sleepy evening, as you lie still, know that somewhere, someone is moving fast, and time is whispering to them in a different voice. Now picture this. 2 clocks, identical, built with the same hands, ticking in perfect unison. But then, one is placed in a low orbit around Earth, moving fast, close to gravity's pull. The other stays farther out, drifting slowly in a high, wide arc. From afar you watch. At first they remain matched, 2 quiet pulses in the dark. But as time passes, one begins to lag, just a little, a fraction, but enough to notice. Which one? The one closer to Earth, faster, deeper in gravity's hand, ticks more slowly, and the one farther out, less pulled, less hurried, ticks a little faster. This isn't theory, this is fact. It is measured, tracked, accounted for. The twin clocks remind us, time doesn't move equally everywhere. Even machines free of breath and bone feel the difference. And we wonder, what does that mean for us? If your thoughts orbited low and tight, would they stretch more slowly? If your dreams drifted wide and far, would they rush ahead? We are not clocks, but we keep them. We trust them, we live by them, and they, in turn, quietly tell us this secret. Time is a local thing. It belongs to where you are, to how fast you're going, to how deep you sit in the well of gravity. So we drift beside the twin clocks, listening to their soft disagreement. Not conflict, just variation. 2 truths, side by side, both right, both real, both ticking to the rhythm of their own orbit. And now we approach an edge, a boundary, a silence deeper than all the rest. We drift toward a black hole, not to fall in, but to listen at its threshold, the event horizon where time stretches so far it nearly stops. A black hole is gravity without mercy, so dense, so compact, that not even light can escape. It bends space, and it bends time. Imagine you're watching a traveller, a friend, an explorer, approaching the black hole. They wave, they smile, they move closer, slowly, carefully. To them, everything feels normal. Their watch ticks, their thoughts unfold. But to you, watching from a safe distance, something strange happens. Their motion slows, their wave becomes sluggish, their smile stretches like honey. Until finally, they seem frozen, hovering just at the edge. To them, time flows. To you, they have almost stopped. This is time dilation at its extreme. Near the event horizon, gravity bends time so sharply that an outside observer sees the world slow to a crawl. Now, imagine falling in. For you, no time passes at all, or all time passes at once. It depends on how you look. It depends on where you stand. Do you vanish instantly, or do you take forever to arrive? From inside the black hole, the answer may not matter, because answers, like light, cannot escape. Time, here, loses its shape, becomes warped, stretched, curled into the silence, and still the black hole waits. Not as a destroyer, but as a keeper of the deepest time, the time that bends back on itself, the time that forgets how to tick. Now let's drift away from any one world. Let's rise beyond the sun, beyond the stars we know, into the wide, dark fabric of it all, the universe, expanding, slowly, quietly. Everything is moving away from everything else. Galaxies like lanterns slipping down an endless river. But this expansion isn't just distance, it's time. Because as the universe grows, so does its rhythm, its stretch, its pace. In the earliest moments, time was tight, compressed. A single heartbeat held 1,000 years of change. But now, as the cosmos unfurls, each moment holds less. Events drift farther apart. Starlight stretches, not because it tires, but because space itself has stretched beneath it. This is called redshift, a glow that fades into slowness. Imagine watching a supernova at the farthest edge of what we can see. Its light took billions of years to reach us, and by the time it arrives, its flash has slowed, its song deepened, as if the universe is humming it in slow motion. We aren't just moving through time, we're inside it, inside its fabric, and that fabric grows. Time expands with space, like ink in water, like breath into cold air. The further you reach, the longer things take, not because they're distant, but because space itself has grown larger between now and then. So we float, not forward, but outward, and we ask softly, if time stretches like this, will there come a moment so wide, so slow, that nothing can change anymore? Or will time just keep breathing, wider, quieter, until even memory fades into space? Now we pause, not to stop but to ask, is there a true time, a single rhythm beneath all others, a master clock the universe follows? We've drifted through spinning planets, tilted moons, gravity wells and cosmic rivers. Each place offers a different pace, a different beat. So what is time if it isn't the same everywhere? Could it be that time is only what we measure, only what we feel? Somewhere, deep in physics, there is an idea that time is not a universal thing, but a local experience, a personal unfolding. Each observer has their own clock, their own timeline, their own version of now. This means there is no single now, no universal moment, no cosmic bell ringing across space to tell everything to move at once. Instead, time is like music played across mountain tops. Some hear it early, some hear it late, some hear echoes, some hear silence. Imagine this: 2 stars, a galaxy apart, both flickering at what we call the same time. But by the time their light reaches us, one flicker has aged, the other is still on its way. Are they still in sync? Were they ever? Or imagine you, sitting quietly, breathing slowly, wondering if your seconds mean the same thing to someone dreaming on Neptune. They don't, and that's okay, because time, like sleep, is deeply personal. It wraps around the moment you're in and only asks that you feel it, not understand, just feel. And maybe that's the answer. There is no true time, only truly being in it. We drift now to the farthest edge, not of space, but of thought, a place where clocks have no hands, where calendars dissolve, where time is not measured, but felt. Imagine a world without ticking, without counting, without sunrise or sunset, a world deep beneath the ice, or in a cave of glowing moss, or perhaps inside a nebula where starlight is too scattered to cast shadow. What would time feel like there? Maybe it would feel like a breath, a heartbeat, a rhythm that doesn't come from outside but from within. In such places you wouldn't say, it's morning. You'd say, I feel wakefulness blooming. You wouldn't say, it's been an hour. You'd say, the silence has changed shape. Maybe time never needed numbers. Maybe it was always a dance, and we tried to turn it into a line. The more we've explored the universe, the more we've found that time refuses to behave. It stretches and loops, it slows and twists, It bends to gravity, to speed, to light, to mood. And in the absence of all these forces, in the absence of planets and moons and orbits, there is still something. A pulse, a drift, a softness. Call it time, call it change, call it stillness in motion. And maybe now, as you settle deeper into sleep, you feel it too. The rhythm of no clocks, the comfort of no deadlines, the deep permission to let go. You're floating in the kind of time that doesn't require you to be anywhere else. You're already there. And now, you've drifted through every orbit, every rhythm, every stretched and folded breath of time. There's nothing left to count. No seconds, no hours, only the quiet, only the hush between stars. Let the last images dissolve gently. The red sands of Mars, the golden haze of Titan, the slow, backward sky of Venus. Let them soften into colours, then into shadow, then into nothing at all. You're not falling, you're floating. Time does not pull you, it cradles you. The clocks have stopped whispering. Even gravity has grown sleepy. The black hole no longer bends the edges, because there are no more edges here. Just stillness. Just breathe. Just the warmth of not needing to be anywhere or any when. You're the moment now, not passing through it, but becoming it. A soft exhale in the dark, a gentle pause that doesn't need to end. So close your eyes, if they aren't already closed. Let your thoughts stretch out like starlight. Let your dreams move at their own speed. Time will wait for you. It always does. And in this breathless space, in this quiet between worlds, there's only one thing left to say.